brought to you by Serve Pro.
One more time. There you go.
Like it never happened. So you'll just eliminate that Wake Forest loss, at least in your mind. So back, you said about the Buffalo Bills losing this weekend to the Miami Dolphins, it was a fireable offense.
Correct.
Now, you also said you think they're going to make the playoffs, but you do not think the division is on the table for them, at least right now, that you think New England is going to win the division. Is that correct?
That is correct. But let's be clear about one thing. The bar to clear for the Buffalo Bills was never just making the playoffs. It's about getting Josh Allen to a Super Bowl and trying to win a Lombardi. And they don't seem any closer.
Buffalo, gather around. Because today isn't just another episode on Bills Mafia Wire. Today is a reality check wrapped inside a wake-up call, fueled by frustration, history, pride, and the absolute refusal of this fan base to accept mediocrity. What we are watching with this team right now, in this moment, is the kind of crossroads that separates franchises who fold from franchises who rise. And if you've been following the Bills long enough, you already know which path this city demands. Let's get straight into it, because the conversation around the Buffalo Bills exploded this week the moment the New York Giants fired Brian Daboll. And immediately, every Bills fan, every analyst, every former player who wore this jersey and bled for this culture had the same reaction. That era was special. That pairing was special. That offense was special. Brian Daboll and Josh Allen together built something that changed the identity of this franchise. From a raw, toolsy quarterback people doubted to an MVP caliber force the NFL had no answers for. Daboll and Allen didn't just run an offense, they built a belief system. A system opposing defenses feared. A system fans trusted. A system that felt like the future was finally ours. So yes, when we see Daboll fired, the gut reaction isn't to celebrate someone else's misfortune. It's to remember who he was here and to ask the uncomfortable question, where did that version of the Bills go? Now here's the part that stings. Because on the exact same weekend Brian Daboll loses his job, Stefon Diggs is in New England making one of the most ridiculous touchdown catches of the season, and Mac Hollins is out there with 6 catches for 106 yards, torching Tampa Bay and helping the Patriots extend their lead in the AFC East. And what do Bills fans see when they look at Diggs and Hollins? Former pieces of our offense, former teammates of Josh Allen, former producers in Buffalo now wearing rival colors while the Bills sit behind them in the standings. And forget the standings for a second. Think about the emotional optics. The Bills are coming off a loss that the national media literally called a fireable offense, a no-show against Miami, a performance so flat, so inconsistent, so disconnected from what this team is supposed to be that analysts are openly questioning Sean McDermott's future. They're questioning whether the window is still open, whether the locker room still responds to this coaching staff, whether the voice in that building still hits the way it once did. And if we're being honest, those questions didn't come out of nowhere. They came out of years of being close but not breaking through, out of frustration watching the same patterns repeat, beating the Chiefs one week, looking unstoppable, then turning around and putting a dud on national television the next. You can't be the type of team that destroys Kansas City in their own building, then collapses against a Miami team whose own fan base wasn't even sure they were trying anymore. That's why this moment feels so heavy. This isn't about one game or one season or one coach. It's about an identity crisis. A team that was built to dominate suddenly struggling to define who they are. But let's slow down and take a breath. Because underneath all the frustration, all the noise, all the finger pointing, there's something important here. Something that gets lost when fans only hear the national talk shows throwing gasoline on everything. The Buffalo Bills are not done. They're not washed. They're not collapsing. They're not fading back into irrelevance. Not with Josh Allen on this roster. Not with the leadership in that locker room. Not with a team that has repeatedly risen when the odds were against them. Let's talk about what the national media conveniently forgets. Number one, the Bills just beat Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs 1 week before the Miami game. And that wasn't luck. That wasn't fluke. That was a statement. That was Buffalo's defense baiting Mahomes into mistakes. That was Allen dissecting pressures, hitting tight windows, controlling the tempo. And you can't erase that win just because the following week hurts. Number 2, despite the dip in offensive consistency, Joe Brady has quietly rebuilt parts of this scheme. The spacing is improving, the run game with James Cook is becoming more reliable, the intermediate passing game is less chaotic, and when Brady and Allen lock in, you feel that 2020 flash again. Number 3, injuries have hit this team harder than people want to admit. Nat Milano was the heart of the defense. Tre'Davious White was the stabilizer in the secondary. Daquan Jones was the anchor that made everything in the trenches possible. Healthy Bills versus battered Bills are two completely different teams, and every fan who watches this team every week knows that. So yes, this offense is searching for itself. Yes, the loss to Miami was embarrassing. Yes, the AFC East standings look weird as hell with New England suddenly overachieving. But none of that means Buffalo is out of this. It means they're being tested. It means they're being forced to evolve. It means the young guys have to elevate sooner than expected. It means Joe Brady has to coach with urgency. And it means Sean McDermott has to acknowledge that some of these patterns are not acceptable. And here's where the story flips. Because the future of the Buffalo Bills is not tied to what Stefon Diggs does in New England. It's not tied to Mac Hollins having a big week. It's not tied to Brian Daboll suddenly becoming available. It's tied to Josh Allen. As long as this quarterback is in Buffalo, the window is open. As long as he's here, the Bills are capable of beating anyone. As long as he's healthy, Buffalo can make a run. As long as he's leading, this team has a chance every single week. You don't put a talent like Allen in the same category as mid-level franchises fighting to stay afloat. He is a force multiplier. He resets expectations. He erases talent gaps. He turns chaos into opportunity. He makes throws nobody else attempts. And even when this team stumbles, he gives them a chance to stand up again. So what does this mean, Bills Mafia? It means the narrative can flip again just as quickly as it flipped this week. It means Buffalo is still alive in the playoff race. It means the AFC is volatile and unpredictable. It means every game matters now, including the one coming up against Tampa Bay. And it means this team, this quarterback, this fan base still has time to write a different ending. Because here's the truth. Nobody fears the Patriots. Nobody fears the Dolphins. Nobody fears the Jets. They fear the Bills playing to their potential. They fear the version of Buffalo that walked into Arrowhead and silenced the building. They fear the version of Buffalo that went on a December tear last year. They fear the version of Buffalo that adjusts, responds, adapts, and explodes late in the season. This team has flaws. This team has questions. This team has pressure. But this team isn't finished. And if you think Josh Allen, in a year where everyone is taking shots at him, is going to let this season slip away quietly, you haven't watched enough Buffalo Bills football. Because every time this franchise has been counted out, they punch back harder. Bills Mafia, I want your voice in this. Sound off in the comments. Do you believe Buffalo still turns this season around? Do you think Sean McDermott should be on the hot seat, or do you think the panic is overblown? And do you believe, like I do, that when the dust settles, the Bills will still be standing in the playoff chase? Drop your thoughts below, hit like if you believe in this team, and subscribe to Bills Mafia Wire for daily breakdowns that actually respect the passion and intelligence of this fan base. The season is far from over, and Buffalo has been here before. This time, the response will define them.